So warm welcome to everyone. Om Shanti. So this event is the Avyakt Murli revision that's usually held weekly on Mondays, but we have the fortune of actually participating live as well as online, and I believe Sister Aruna is also online, who usually hosts this weekly event. So Bap Dada said we were fortunate to have such a sustaining father, a knowledgeable teacher and supreme Satguru, but we also have the fortune to have such senior instruments that have great experience, wisdom, and insight to share with us the depth of Baba's Murli. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Om Shanti to everyone here and to those online. And Baba has a very specific formula that Baba uses in the Avyakt Murlis, and I'm sure everybody's noted it down by now, that Baba begins with a reminder of our greatness, our fortune, and how wonderful the children are. And then Baba gradually begins to tell us all the things that we need to do. And of course, Baba also then reminds us of the example of Brahma Baba and the Dadis, so that we are aware of what it is they have achieved and how we can also do the same. So this Murli very clearly followed that pattern. And so Baba reminding us of the lines of fortune that we show on our forehead. And so Elizabeth summarized the three. The lovely sustenance we have from the Father, the wisdom we acquire from the teacher through the teachings that God gives, and the blessings that Baba gives us in the form of the Satguru. And Baba reminded us that there's no one, but no one in the world who can have such amazing fortune as we do. It's true. And Baba also then saying that the sparkle that radiates from each of these lines is a little bit different for each one. The sustenance that the loving Father gives is the same for all. Whether someone comes right at the very beginning, like the original jewels, or comes a little bit later, it's okay, they get the same loving sustenance. They also have the same teachings. It's not that Baba gives a separate Murli to anyone. No, Baba gives the same Murli to everyone. And the blessings we receive are also all the same. But of course, it becomes number-wise to the extent that we wish to imbibe all of this. And so then the brightness of the light that radiates is different, number-wise, each one. And then Baba was talking about love. And it's very beautiful that Baba explained how everyone says, but Baba loves me, and I love Baba. I belong to Baba, Baba belongs to me. And so we say this with our right, with our special birthright and authority of that. And Baba's happy with that. Baba's pleased that we have that spiritual intoxication with which we say this. That yes, Baba loves me more than anyone else. And yes, I love Baba more than anyone else. And so each one knows about the love that's in their heart and the love that they're receiving from Baba. But also, Baba pointed out that although everyone has passed in the subject of love, and yes, we reach Madhuban flying in the plane of love, we're the only ones who experience God's love, and this is the only time to be able to experience that. The deities can give us love later on, but there's no other time except this to receive God's love directly. And of course, this is what then prepares us for the whole cycle. And so, focusing on that aspect of love, Baba said, do you keep this intoxication, this spiritual consciousness, as you walk and work and do all the things that you need to? And so, yes, when we are in Madhuban, it's easy to feel that intoxication. And yes, it's easy to remind us of the same at Amrit Vela. But Baba was quite specific. Are you able to keep this through the whole day? Because the reality is that if we keep this intoxication of love through the whole day, then whatever challenges come our way, it'll be very easy to deal with them. And if we forget about this intoxication of love, then little things can come and we blow them up and they become a big hurdle, a big obstacle. So Baba was reminding us that it's the power of love that can enable us to cross everything and go beyond and reach the other side. And then Baba saying, well, it's great that you've all passed in the subject of love. That's wonderful. But what about the other subject? And that is transformation. And how are you doing with that? Baba was making it very interactive at that point, asking us the questions. What do you think, how do you think your speed is going? What do you think is the speed of things going on in the world? Well, you know that the things happening in the world are going very fast. I have no idea what was happening in 2010 when this Murli was being spoken, but certainly it applies absolutely at this moment. Just look around the state of the world, and we talk about one part quite a bit because it's sort of immediate and it's demanding our attention. Of course, one part of the world, Ukraine and Russia, but equally there's so many other things going on, whether it's Afghanistan, whether it's Syria, whether it's all these other places where troubles haven't finished. The troubles started many years ago in these places, and they continue. And so, you know, the press, the media, especially social media, loves taking up a subject for how long? A day? 3 days? That's about it. Then it drops the subject and moves on to something else. And so we tend to forget that these things are still bubbling and might boil over any minute also. So all of this is going on, and Baba's saying, can you see how fast the speed of the things happening in the world is? And truly, that is a reality, especially today, whatever it was then, but very much so today. And so, does your speed of effort match what's going on? Oh, I see some people going like this. Well, that's okay, because the fact that we're hearing this Murli in Madhuban, and all those who are hearing it out there, the fact that Baba's talking to us directly at this moment means that there's still a chance. It isn't that the doors are shut, that it's too late. At some point that also will happen, and the board of too late will go up. But at the moment it's late, but not too late. So Baba then saying, well, can you change your ordinary effort into intense effort, fast effort, so that your speed of transformation matches what's going on in the world, and you're able to move a step ahead of that? And a very powerful method that Baba gave us. All you have to do is to say to yourself, every thought I have which is accurate and pure, I'm going to apply it. I'm going to put it into practice. Not just that I keep the thought in my head and I get busy with other things, but no, let me hear what Baba's saying, and if I agree with it, then let me make it practical here and now. So keep that determined thought to make it practical. And if there are thoughts that are inaccurate, what to do about those? Again, Baba gave a very sweet method to be able to deal with it. Are you able to delete them just as quickly as you're able to put a full stop on a sheet of paper? Now, how long does it take to put a full stop, a dot? It takes less than a second. And so, can I delete whatever are the inaccurate thoughts as quickly? Because by now I know what thoughts are right and what thoughts are not right. And so when something that's not right starts to emerge, full stop, finish it, delete it. And so Baba reminding us that that will be the way in which you're able to make your efforts fast and intense. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. And then Baba again went on to talk about how at the beginning of the year, and I'm sure none of us would remember what was the Murli of New Year 1990, but I remember another thing connected with that though, and that is the fact that that was a time of Dadi's new birth, because she was in Ahmedabad, she'd gotten unwell, and it was pneumonia, and we didn't have a center anywhere except Pandav Bhavan on the top of the mountain. And so the cold and everything, 31st December, and they took her to Ahmedabad so that she could be in a space that was a bit warmer. And in Ahmedabad, Dadi decided that she would sit up in front of Baba in Baba's room and just simply be with Baba through the night, because Baba would stay with us through the whole night and be with us for after midnight, sometimes meeting individuals even, or groups after midnight even. But that was a time that Dadi was there and Baba had remembered her, and Baba sent her Sakash, and next day Rosie Ben from Chennai was leaving, so Baba had given Rosie Ben special greetings for Dadi and love and tolis and everything else. And so Rosie Ben arrived and she saw that there was a turnaround. The day before, it looked as if Dadi was about to fly away. And then when she arrived on the 1st of January, there was Dadi perked up. And that was Dadi's new birth. We don't really know the date of Dadi's birthday. And so then she said, okay, my birthday is going to be this one, the time that Baba gave me new spiritual birth. So I don't remember the rest of the Murli, but of course Baba doesn't forget, Baba remembers. And so Baba's saying that Baba had spoken to you about transformation at the start of the year, and in particular, the transformation of sanskars and nature. And you all put up your hands that yes, you were ready to transform, and the Dadis saw it all, it's on camera, but are you now ready to transform your sanskars and nature? Absolutely, to the extent that tomorrow we celebrate and we have a ceremony that we are finishing all the old sanskars. It's the end of the old sanskars. So Baba caught us out on that one, having told us that yes, transformation, and you want to have fast transformation, and everybody nodding their head and putting up their hands, and then Baba telling us, well, what about tomorrow? Now, I can understand why Baba says that, because if you postpone something, it'll always get delayed and delayed and more delayed. That if you say, I'm going to do something now, it's more than likely to happen. And so Baba reminding us that finish all those old sanskars and nature now. don't let them hang around, otherwise again it'll be too late. But no, finish everything tomorrow in the ceremony. And so Baba wanted us to raise our hands for those who were willing to be in a ceremony the next day. And of course, there weren't the same number of hands that there had been earlier. But Baba reminding us that it's either now or it's never going to happen. And so do I have that courage? Do I have that courage to say, yes, instant transformation, immediate transformation? And then Baba giving us the example again of Brahma Baba. The courage that Brahma Baba had when there was nobody else who he could turn to, there was no one else who had any experience of what he was going through. He was alone. And he just made Baba his companion, and with that strength was able to be absolutely immovable and unshakable. And as a result of one soul being absolutely stable in the highest consciousness, he was able then to be the pioneer that was then inspiring so many centers to form, so many Brahmins to take birth. And so Baba was saying, look at all that's happened. And not just Brahmins and centers, but also programs. Think about all the programs that are going on in the world and who's making it all happen. Shiv Baba, of course, but definitely Shiv Baba worked his wonders through Brahma Baba. And so Baba saying that just as he had the courage and he surrendered everything instantly, his mind, his body, his wealth, are you able to follow in the Father's footsteps and do the same? This mantra of following the Father is a very powerful one. And if there's a question, but I don't see him, how can I follow him? Well, the footprints are still there. The things that he did when he was here in the physical form. And so Baba's saying that, well, for Shiv Baba, you always say, well, he doesn't have a body. And so there's no question of body consciousness. But Brahma Baba was a bodily being, a human being. And yet, just read his life story, just listen to the things that the Dadis have always spoken about Baba. Listen to the Murli. The Murli gives you an insight into how Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba both think. And of course, Brahma Baba made sure that his thinking was completely aligned to Shiv Baba so that the two energies could work together in harmony. If Brahma Baba hadn't aligned his thinking with Shiv Baba's wanting to take the horse and chariot in this direction, and Brahma Baba's pulling the horse in a different direction, and what would happen? Nothing, come to a standstill. But Brahma Baba surrendered his intellect to God. And so Shiv Baba held the reins of the horses, the intellect, the reins, and the horses, the mind, the wild horses. And so Shiv Baba held the reins in his hands because Brahma Baba had surrendered those reins to Shiv Baba and then was simply following Baba's directions. Wherever it is that Shiv Baba would take him, Brahma Baba would follow, Baba would go. So there was this total alignment and synchronicity. No difference between the one and the other. But what about us? When something happens, are my thoughts and words and actions aligned to how Baba thinks? You know, in any given situation, sometimes we see two sides. Well, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, maybe this, and there's this fluctuation. But sometimes in a situation, and it's a demanding one, it's a challenging one, but there's such a very clear awareness of what it is I need to do at this moment. And so that's the sign of having surrendered my intellect to God. And of course, Baba also mentioning that when there is this surrender and when you do have that discipline over your weaknesses and whatever else, then in that stage, there won't be any tiredness, there won't be any fluctuation, but rather you'll be having a smile and doing whatever it is that's needed to happen, and you won't feel tired at all. Interesting that Baba should pick up on how tiredness is a sign of carelessness, because then Baba went on to talk quite a bit about carelessness and how the sign that is visible of carelessness, A, you feel tired, and B, you're not happy, and so you're not cheerful. But at this moment in the cycle, Baba says, your face, your smile should be able to do service. Even before they're ready to listen to you, let your smile and let your face touch them so that they can feel another vibration, which is what used to happen with all the different dadis. Any one of the dadis who you met, and it was their face that showed you that they were unique, they were rather special. And so now, the dadis are subtle, Avyakt, and we can connect with them. For the rest of the world, they're going to be looking at us, and they're going to be checking and seeing, are we following the truth of what it is we say? Are we walking our talk? And so, Baba's comment about carelessness, very interesting, that the expression that is very jnani and yogi, and the expression that somebody says when they're careless, is the words are the same, but the sense that's made from it is very, very different. So the same words, yes, victory is destined, and yes, it has to happen like this. And yes, it's going to happen like this. And so one is with faith on the basis of Gyan and Yoga, and told us with a smile, with joy, with love, knowing that yes, the right thing is going to happen. And when it's out of carelessness that I say, well, you know, victory is fixed anyway. Yes, it's going to be fine. It'll all work out. I'm sure it's going to be okay. Now, the tone is different, the intention is different, and of course the results are going to be very different also. And so, if I'm saying, well, yeah, you know, victory is fixed, it's going to happen. Well, it'll happen for everybody else, but I've no idea. And certainly Baba's not giving me a guarantee at this moment whether that victory is destined for me, unless I have made that intense effort that Baba's talking about. If I've made that intense effort in the right way, in the way that Baba wants, not just simply because I think this is the right way or I think it should be like this. No, there's a very specific method that Baba teaches us for everything, right from the morning till the night. Even if it means consultation with your team, 5 members, 7 members, whoever it is, take the time to do that. And so that process of consultation and then coming back with a response is going to keep me light, it's going to keep me happy, it's going to keep me ever smiling. And so Baba reminding us of how carelessness can be the big factor that actually makes us slip up. We think we're going to be okay, but we're not looking at our track record and actually seeing whether for sure it is going to be okay or not. And so Baba was saying that, yes, compare yourself with Brahma Baba, see Brahma Baba, copy Brahma Baba. In Lokik exams, if you're caught copying, instant dismissal, instant failure. There's no margin for discussion when there's copying. But with Baba, I was saying, that's fine. Copy Brahma Baba, copy him as much as you can. And of course, when we do follow and copy Brahma Baba, then we also are able to manage all the hurdles and move straight forward to the final step. And it was interesting that even in that comment about Brahma Baba, just think about the number of centers that have happened. Think about the programs that are going on. Think about all the new children that have come to Baba and have become Brahmins. So how did all this happen? One individual had the faith and the courage and the determination and the love and the wisdom and all of that, but certainly the faith and the courage and determination. And so we are seeing the practical results of Baba's faith. And so to what extent do I have similar faith? Faith that is immovable, unshakable, faith that's definitely going to allow me to have that determination to bring about transformation here and now and reach that final stage that Baba wants. And then Baba reminding us right at the end that all those who are listening also have had the same determined thought. And it's everyone together that's going to be able to reveal the Father. And very interesting, Baba said half the work is done. And Baba explained that half the work was the fact that the children have been revealed in front of the world. And of course, by then we'd had 7 Peace Messenger Awards by the UN, a huge amount of media publicity in Bharat. So the children were being revealed in front of the world. But we have yet to reveal Baba. Show the world that God has come. And just think about it. How many years ago did Baba say that? That's already 30 years plus. And we still haven't completed the task. And the conditions of the world continue to degenerate. And so we are seeing how imperative it is that we actually should have that determined thought that every pure thought I have, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to put it into practice. And every inaccurate thought, I'm going to put the dot, the full stop. As easy as putting it on paper, but equally being able to delete it from myself. So that's the sort of determination and powerful inspiration that Baba wants us to have at this moment in the cycle. Thank you.
Yes. Oh. Om Shanti. Thank you so much, Jayanti Didi. I know that's a title that you probably aren't comfortable with in one way, because I see you as someone who is very humble and graceful, and you want to embrace the family as our equal. And but from my heart, and I'm sure from everyone here, we certainly have you in the place of our Didi. I would like to ask all of you in the audience, who is meeting Jayanti Didi for the first time? Okay. And perhaps you know she's the regional coordinator of Europe and the Middle East, and she also has a role as the additional administrative,
Something like
that head. I'm so sorry, please forgive me. If someone can correct me, I would appreciate that. But a significant responsibility in the ongoing administration of the yajna. So that is a wonderful thing. You did touch on a lot of the questions that I already had here, but I would like to start with a simple question. What's the difference between nature and sanskars? And how do they interplay with one another? Which would maybe be the root or the base?
I see sanskars as being something that we've lived with for many, many births, through many births. And I see nature, the Hindi word is subhav. And so the swa, the original state, and the bhavna, the feelings that I have, but it could also be the intentions that I have. So if I go back to the origin of that, then my original nature is something very beautiful. And except that, you know how today, I'll give you an example that clarifies it for me. Here's somebody who's strong and powerful, and that is their sanskar, to be like this. But then, on top of it, they also have the nature of actually being a little bit bossy or a little bit pushy. Because it all goes together in a sense. And so, yes, the sanskar is of, let me go out and do it and make it happen. But then the nature that interferes in Kali Yuga is that I tend to be a little bit pushy and a little bit bossy. And so maybe I'm even a little bit loud with that. And so what I have to do is to, when I'm dealing with somebody who's loud and pushy, then I have to remind myself what is their original sanskar. And their original sanskar is a very nice one, of actually being able to make things happen with courage and determination. But on the surface of it, I'm seeing this aspect which is not very pleasant. And so this is what the dadis used to do. They didn't see the superficial aspect, but they saw the depth of the quality of the soul. They saw the sanskar that was a good sanskar within that individual. And so this is why sometimes we'd wonder, you know, how come I don't have time for this person because of the way they're behaving? But the dadis would have time for them in the sense of valuing them, appreciating them. And so that's where there's a divergence now. Then, of course, where there are sanskars that are not so good from the Copper Age, my sanskar of greed, well, the manifestation of that in my nature would then be accumulation, hoarding.
Okay.
But the depth is actually my neediness. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not able to fill myself. And so that neediness is making me greedy. And the way then to overcome it is just take whatever Baba is giving and be very content and filled with that. And so then you're dealing with both the Copper Age aspect of the sanskar, but also at this moment it's superficial manifestation, where you see somebody accumulating and you wonder why. But it's their insecurity. There's a discontent within the soul. So
it's a bit like the nature is the root or the essence.
The sanskar is the root.
Okay, the sanskar. Thank you for clarifying that then.
The sanskar is the root.
I don't know that I get it yet, but anyway.
I was describing two different situations where one is where the sanskar is good, but the external nature is not so pleasant. But the sanskar that is there, think about a lion. and there's a lion who's roaring.
Right.
And the roar of the lion is so strong that you don't want to come near.
Okay.
But actually, the lion is good, courageous and powerful and strong. But of course, other things, so an analogy can only take you that far and not the whole way. And the other stage where it's not a pure sanskar, and also the manifestation in nature is also not so pure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got that? Okay. Thank you. Also, you did touch on how Baba had graced us with, so much love, loving each of us more than the other, and asking us how much do we feel that love, and of course we love Baba so much in return, and then, realizing our great fortune. And then I was wondering, because then he'd said the however, right? And then, of course, the homework. And I was thinking, is there a correlation, perhaps, of realizing this love and fortune and how it can help me in transforming these thoughts and also acting on those positive ones?
When you feel very powerful love, it's a very strong motivation. And so you're really inspired to do something, especially when it's coming to you from the one you love. The one you love wants you to do this, that, or the other. You won't stop. You're going to make it happen. Nothing can stop you. Because of your love, you're going to say, I need to do this. I have to do this. And it doesn't matter whether it's staying up awake through the night or whether it's walking 10 miles and whatever is needed. And so yes, definitely there is this correlation, and why Baba's emphasizing this pure love that we've all experienced from Baba. And Baba's saying, now remember, there is this love, but what is it that Baba's asking of you? Baba's asking of you to transform so that you can be the best that you are. And so Baba's also inspiring me for myself, but also Baba's using that love to trigger my own passion for change, so that I'm doing it out of love for Baba. Simple example, when you come to Baba and Baba says, wake up for Amrit Vela. Now, who would want to give up their sweet sleep? And yet, everybody's willing to do it because Baba's asked me to do it. And I might struggle, but I know this is what Baba's asking of me. And so instantly, we're ready to do it. And then, yes, of course, we come to appreciate its benefit gradually. But because Baba has said, do this, I'm ready to do it.
Now, on the aspect of courage, and yes, Brahma Baba didn't have anyone to follow, and that's where I myself have so much regard for Brahma Baba. He had no one. And he, of course, had the cooperation and was able to do amazing things. And I was thinking, now, even in your situation, if I may, Jayanti-ben, you were one of the first pioneers to do service abroad. And I'm certain that there were moments where you were like, what to do now? How to do? This isn't the way they do things in India, and to begin to open doors and open hearts and begin service. So I think it would be lovely to hear your experience of courage and how you found the courage to begin service in the West.
When you're actually experiencing courage, you don't put a label on it, and you don't say, I want to be courageous, or I am courageous, or can I be courageous? You just do what you need to do. And what happened with me was, again, it was Baba. Baba asked me to go back to London, and no center, but yes, I had my Lokik mother as somebody who was a very Pakka Raj yogi for many years already. So there was a huge amount of support on that level. But you're right, there was nobody who could share with me how to do service. And so in that first instance, after coming back from India, where there were ready-made platforms, and it was very easy to just write a few points, think about Baba's Gyan, and then stand up and just speak. That's it. That's all I had to do. I didn't have to prepare anything else except my own stage and a few notes. But I didn't have to get leaflets printed. I didn't have to book a hall. I didn't have to do anything. And so I came to London, and I was very intoxicated. Baba has said, I'm sending you for service. Now, all I have to do is to make sure I'm following the Madhuban timetable, which was Baba's instruction to me. And I just thought I'd go knocking on doors, and the doors would open. And it didn't happen. And so that was great, because it taught me to let go of ego, that I can actually do anything. And then when I wrote to Dadi Prakash Mani, she'd said, write to me in English and I'll reply, whether it's Hindi or Sindhi, Rajniben can read it, or whether it's English, I'll reply. And sure enough, she did. And I wrote to her saying, Dadi, there's no service here in London. I think I need to come back to India. And Dadi's reply was, and it was in English, I think Rosie Ben was there in Madhuban at the time, and the reply was, even if there isn't outside service, there's always self-service. And it was a magic mantra, because it just made me realize that something that I'd thought about before that the Dadis had 14 years of tapasya, and I was thrown into the field of service like instantly. I took Gyan in April, came to stay at the center in October, and that's it. In October I was on a platform. And so there was no time for that inner preparation. And so I made a timetable of yoga, of a chart of soul consciousness, a chart of writing and preparation, of churning of Gyan, all of these things. And I really wasn't looking for anything outside at that point. And I just thought, this is my time. This is time for me. But of course, I was on the lookout for information about new organizations or organizations that I hadn't yet contacted. And so I came across this organization called the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain. And their address was very classy. It was right in Belgrave Square in Knightsbridge. So Rajniben and I trot along, make an appointment, and we see the secretary. And he looks at what I would have been quite embarrassed to show many others, but somehow he was so warm and had carried this. And this was that picture album that had the original India pictures. You know, Ravan and all of those things, the whole works. But the first few images were, of course, of the soul, and then of Shiv Baba, the point of light, and things. And at the end he said, well, what can I do for you? And I said, well, we've come to see if there's space for lectures. And he said, yes. And he took out the diary for the program. And he said, well, we don't have anything immediately. It was around September. We've got something in December. So can I book you for 4 lectures in December, once a week? This is how we do it. We do series. And I gulped inside, because I'd never done a series of 4 lectures. I'd only done one-off lectures. And remember, I'd only been in Gyan by then from April, so about 18 months. So that was 18 months in Gyan. But I said yes, because I wasn't going to let a door shut now that it was opening. And I thought, well, Baba will help me. So I just said yes. But then we fixed dates and things, and he wanted to give us an honorarium, which was the usual thing. And I said, no, well, that can be our contribution to your work, but we don't take money. And then I asked him, but you don't know us, you're meeting us for the first time. So how is it that you instantly gave us all this time? And he said, you remember that picture you showed me of that point of light? Well, I've just come out of a year's sabbatical in which I was having silence because I needed silence for myself. And at the end of that year of silence, I had a vision. And it was a vision of God as a being of light. So when you spoke about that and showed me that image, I knew it resonated, it was the truth. And so yes, after December, if you want to come back for more, we can arrange more. And the door of service opened. So it had just taken preparation on my side. It wasn't, was it courage? I'm not sure. But it was determination, that's for sure. That Baba has sent me here, something's going to happen. So I think it was more determination than courage in a sense. That Baba has said, do this, I have to do this.
Well, I would certainly say from here we are in 2022 and what it takes, and I'm sure those of you who've started service in your countries, it takes courage. And I really appreciate the point you are emphasizing, and that was that Baba said, your main service is to work on your stage. So that's...
I have to say that once those doors opened, people like Charlie, people like Ken came from that place. So it was absolutely God's plan that here's a person who's wanting to do tapasya, this person, the secretary, and this is going to be the place that begins service in London. And sure enough, that was a place where we had the exhibition, the first exhibition outside India. Baba's talked a lot about exhibitions today, so that was the first exhibition outside India in 71. So the doors
in 71?
opened, yeah, the doors opened in 70, and the first delegation came in 71, just a few months later. And it was the same person who said, yes, this the place where we have our bookstore, there's space, you can put up your pictures. Yes, ask your people in India to come. So
wow.
Everything happened from there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think we have, yes, we do. This question is, you had touched on this. Baba says to know that it's going to happen. And you know, don't worry, have the courage, and it definitely has to happen. And then, of course, he said not to be careless and thinking that, oh, well, victory is our birthright. Now, it's sort of like the brake and the accelerator in a way, if I may use that as an analogy. How to keep a balance of my own efforts in making good karma and also with destiny. So the correlation of karma and destiny. What is destined, because this is always a kind of a funny thing. And then the beauty of this moment and what decisions I make from this moment of karma. So yes, it is my right, it will happen, but then not to rely on that.
When you say it's going to happen, then exactly as Baba said today, what am I doing to make it happen? If I'm going to sit back and say, well, it's going to happen, and I just sit back comfortably and wait for something to happen, nothing will happen. But it's destined that Baba's given me the inspiration to do something. Let me put my full heart and energy and love into it. like in this Murli, there was another sentence that caught my attention that I hadn't said, how when you do something with love, you do it with joy, you do it with happiness. And since you're going to have to do something anyway, do it happily. Don't do it because somebody is expecting you to do it, but just do it with that love and joy and be happy about it. And so that was a very interesting comment from Baba. And so if I've got a touching, can I do this? Well, Baba says, put it into practice if it's a good thought. And if it's for self-progress, definitely it's going to be a good thought. If it's something for service, I'm sure that everywhere there's 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 that you have to consult with. I'll consult with them. And if the majority are saying no, 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 okay, maybe it's not the right time. It's a good idea, and yes, it'll happen, but not yet. Or if immediately there's consensus, then you know it's the right touching from Baba, and it's going to happen beautifully. And you make it happen then in that way. And so I see that pure thoughts, you get that touching to do something, do it. Don't wait. If it's just for you. And if it's for service, then consult whoever you need to consult. And it'll happen. But to have a pure thought and then say, well, I'll do it later. Or a pure thought and I say, well, you know, there's somebody else who can do it. Why should I actually give my time and attention? I'm going to have to forget about my sleep. I'm going to have to, you know, adjust my timetable for my food and everything else. So I won't bother. So then it's not in your destiny. The thought came, but you didn't act on it. And so it's the action that then creates the destiny. So that's the correlation there.
Thank you. That makes it very clear. Opportunities come every day, but am I willing to act on it? Okay. Also, I was curious on this. Baba really emphasized that we should have the Father's revelation, and it should be that from everyone's lips, they will recognize and know that God has come. And I was wondering, when, you know, Baba's just had a whole, I guess, homework of harmonizing sanskars, of working on ourselves, if perhaps that completion of the self, working on the self, and also in the harmony within the family, within centers, within service, would be how the tables will turn or will reveal Baba when that moment. I was just thinking perhaps Baba was, you know, he started off saying how loved we are, how fortunate we are, and then this is the work you have to do, roll up your sleeves, and guess what? Everybody, talk about destiny, we're going to reveal the Father to everyone. So I was just wondering if you could say something about that, you know.
When everyone collectively has that pure, powerful thought of transformation, that this is now when I don't want to postpone things anymore. I want to do what I need to do now. When we share this collective, powerful thought, that is going to be the moment that then all of us and our collective energy is going to shift things and Baba can be revealed. And people will see the transformation and they will say, yes, surely this is God's work, God has come. So I see that Baba often talks about the collective rather than just the individual. My own personal effort has to continue. I can't wait for the collective. But can my personal individual effort be such that there's a wave that spreads? You know that he used to say, when one bird flies, the whole flock flies also. And so that powerful, pure thought of transformation And within all of us then, that thought spreading, how long are we going to carry on with if and but and maybe? But this is now that moment. And so maybe what's happening in Ukraine and Russia is bringing us to that point where we realize has to be now, can't postpone. Then God can be revealed.
Mm-hmm. The time is now. So thank you. Unless we have any other questions from online? Nope. Okay.
I have a little bit of extra something.
Yes.
Shweta, sorry. Daddy has sent Toli for all of you, and I'll tell you the story of the Toli in just a minute.
Thank you. Thank you.
As you know, we had this special celebration for Daddy's life a couple of days ago on the 27th, and the day before yesterday. And I know that most of you weren't able to come down for one reason or another. And so the special Toli that was prepared for Daddy's day has walked up the mountain to come to you. And so after we finish, and there's another special surprise, we're going to have meditation in Daddy Janki's park rather than here. Were you aware of that?
Tomorrow, right? Or today?
Things are very fluid in Madhuban. And what I was told is that it was going to be tomorrow, but even at 9:30 in the morning, it's already too hot to be outside in the park. A small group sitting under the umbrella and the canopy is fine, but all of us in the park and it's just too hot. Okay for some, Malaysia, but not so okay for those from other parts of the world. And so the thought is to actually have the meditation in the park this evening. So once you've had Toli, you can go along to the park and just find space wherever it's comfortable for you. I'm sure there'll be people there to show you the way. And then we can have meditation in the cool breeze. I'm assuming there'll be a cool breeze. But if it's a hot breeze, that's also okay.
And I was also given this little slip of paper that's stating that Jayanti Ben and Mohini Ben are the additional chief of the Brahma Kumaris. But of course, you are in our hearts, and that's the best place to be.
And titles come and go, and so really you just have to do what comes in front of you and carry on.
Okay. Om Shanti.
Okay, let's begin our meditation. And then when you see the magic boxes appear, you can start coming up from here and get the Toli.
And then a big thank you also to Elizabeth and again Jayanti Ben. And then after we take our Toli, we just make our way down through the entrance in
Play the music, please. Beautiful angels. Hola, Guillermina. Om Shanti. Beautiful flowers, angels. Fly.